Okay, let's get started here. Thanks everybody for joining today. Hello, my name is Elliot Pister, and I'm going to be introducing you to something brand new that we've been developing for about a year and a half and are very excited to give the music community a sneak peek at. And that something is MusicTrend. So over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how MusicTrend helps artists, composers, songwriters, labels, music libraries, publishers, basically any type of music creator, how it helps you be smarter, more informed, and current with your production decisions. And it also helps you find more opportunities for your existing music catalog. So I think in order to know MusicTrend, you need to know a little bit about Magnetracks. So MusicTrend initially will be offered as an app on the Magnetracks platform. So what is Magnetracks? Well, it's a single hub for your entire music catalog and everything you do with it. So that means searching, promoting, licensing, sourcing, creating and sending playlists, managing co-writers and rights holders, metadata, all that stuff. If you know SongSpace, Source Audio, SyncTank, products like that, you'd be pretty familiar with Magnetracks. It is a music platform for professionals. It's also a platform that helps accelerate how music is prepared for release. So this means collecting all your different file versions, your metadata, contracts, having those sorted out, managing all the rights of the respective rights holders, scheduling your releases, and then finally launching them to all the different streaming services and other platforms out there. And it also connects, again, artists and songwriters and labels and publishers to industry services that you already use. So things like SoundCloud and MailChimp and Spotify, Amazon Music, all these places that you interact with already. It is basically a hub for all of those different types of services. So in line with that, you can see here that Magnetracks sort of sits at the center of what you do with your music. So what we're showing in this slide basically is all the things Magnetracks connects with, like social network promotion, streaming networks. We have about 43 integrated streaming services that are controlled by your Magnetracks account. Music administration tools, like I mentioned, a full CRM system for you to be able to build and grow your industry relationships. And then MusicTrend is one of these spokes in the wheel. So let's just deal with what we think are 3 questions that music creators ask every day. And this is what MusicTrend is really where it got its found its birthplace, let's say. So what are those 3 questions that you're constantly asking yourself? Well, we think it's things like, hey, what do I already have that somebody in the industry is looking for right now? Is there a song or a cue or, a type of a sort of a mood that there is somebody in the world seeking out right now, and how can I connect with it? Another question might be, what's the next hot genre or vibe or artist or mood? So I want to know these kinds of things as a record label before the public does. Is there a way that I can get a heads up to what's going to be trending tomorrow before everyone else gets a crack at writing it and producing it? And the third question would be, given my musical strengths and what I'm good at, paired with what industry looks for, what should I be producing today? So what should I be sitting down and creating given my skills and what is in demand? So these are things that I think creatives are always wrestling with when they're pondering, the next song they're going to write, the next production music release that they're going to do, they're constantly swirling around in the background where you're thinking about the marketability of your music. But here's the problem. The first question, do I already have something that somebody in industry is looking for? Well, how would you find an answer to that? You'd need to be constantly searching A&R sites, the familiar names like Music Gateway and Song Trader and Taxi and Reverb Nation and others that basically post requests from people in industry. So you'd need to be constantly trolling these sites, or you'd need to be spamming your industry contacts and asking them, hey, what can I get you? What can I get you? What can I get you? And making a nuisance of yourself, really. So who really has time for that? What about the second question? What's going to be hot next? What should I be producing in expectation of a trend that I think is going to be coming soon? So usually, though, by the time you've discovered something as a trend, you're late. You're already 3 to 6 months too late. So by the time something seems stylish on radio or as a soundtrack in Netflix series or in other venues, you're behind the ball already. And then the third problem, hey, given what I'm good at and the demand, what should I be producing now? Well, this is a really, really difficult one to answer because it's very difficult, first of all, to know what's in demand. And also, it's very hard to quantify what your strengths are. So these are the three problems that MusicTrend really was aimed at solving. So it is answers to those three questions. So it's basically an AI engine that goes out and it finds opportunities for your music. So it collects and it searches websites and A&R services, and it matches those things against songs in your catalog. And it gives you basically a curated list of suggested pitches. So now you're no longer having to constantly search those sites. Those results are being delivered to you. It also identifies keywords, genres, reference artists. Basically, it pulls out what it thinks are trending from those industry requests. And so I guess the interesting thing about that is these are requests that are coming from editors, music supervisors, A&R people, well before they actually ever hit airwaves. So you're getting an insight into what's coming, not what is. And that's really important if you want to have an insider's advantage. And then the third thing, what should I produce next? Well, MusicTrend has a feature that I'll show you called a catalog profiler that actually learns from your catalog, and it makes production suggestions based on, again, what's trending in the industry and also what you're good at and possibly even where there are gaps in your existing catalog. So this is an AI feature that we're really proud of that delivers you suggested writing tips. So let's just go into this in a little more detail before I actually show you how it all works. So what does MusicTrend do? Well, really it collects and it scans hundreds of active music requests from music services worldwide, and it picks out what it thinks are trends. Then it uses its AI engine to match music in your catalog against these opportunities, and it suggests pitches. So if you have 200 songs in your catalog, MusicTrend might find 4 or 5 what it thinks are really strong matches for what somebody is asking for. And it makes it easy for you to pitch to them. You don't have to be members of these services. You might when it comes to actually pitching to them, but to get all that very important trending information, it's all from publicly available sources. And lastly, it gives you production ideas by comparing your catalog characteristics against trends. And it'll suggest things like, hey, you have a lot of orchestral trailer cues. We're noticing a lot of demand for this kind of stuff. And here's the moods that seem to be trending. Here are the stylistic references that seem to be trending. Perhaps you want to write more of this. So why don't we actually dive into the system, and I'll show you how all three of these questions are answered. All right, so let's jump into our Magnetracks account. As I mentioned before, MusicTrend is available as an app within your Magnetracks subscription. At some point, we plan to make MusicTrend independently available, but for now, it's an app within our quote-unquote app store. So just to give you a quick tour for what Magnetracks is about, I'm looking at my catalog here, and I have all my music, metadata, all my files, and the ability to do all the things that you'd expect with a catalog tool, and that is filter, create playlists, send them out, and basically prepare music for public consumption. So just going across the top here, you'll notice that there's a dashboard which gives you an overview of everything that's going on within the system. You've got a place for all of your projects and a way to schedule them if you are a creative team and you're working on releases together. Here's where you could schedule and coordinate your efforts. Distribution is where you would send your finished releases to all of the major streaming platforms: Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all the familiar names. You've also got a place to manage rights. So this means your licensing activity, publishing agreements, any kind of rights assignment. Documents, self-explanatory. CRM, this is where you can have all of your contacts, all the companies that you work for, and you're managing all your pitches and emails and tasks and appointments, all the basic CRM type features. With our business edition, you have sales. So this means licensing opportunities and quotes that you're sending out for that activity. And then also a place to have all of your co-writers and any kind of rights holder. You can give those people logins, allow them to submit demos or to share in-flight work. But I think what we're really looking for here is over in settings, and you'll see we have this area called connected apps. So by going into connected apps, you'll see that there's a lot of different familiar names in here, like SoundCloud, Box, MailChimp, TuneSat, and then you'll see down the list we have now MusicTrend. So to be able to use the MusicTrend features, you have to enable the app, and then that allows you to configure some of the settings. So basically in here you're deciding what and where you want MusicTrend to look and how you want it to match up songs in your catalog with opportunities in the world. So in the first place, you're going to choose what sites you want MusicTrend to search for you. So at this stage, there are 3. Reverb Nation is also, in the plans, in the works. And then you can also say, hey, other sites and services, as they become available, I want you to also search them. So you don't have to come back here and constantly be looking for new sites. Beneath this, here's where you get to be really granular in how MusicTrend searches. So you can decide how firm you want things to be matched. So the minimum score required for a listing match is basically saying, don't bother me if the match isn't a strong one. So by default, it's set to 80%. I think just for today, I'm going to bring this down to 30. So with every listing that MusicTrend finds, it tries to apply a score to each one of the songs in your catalog based on the genre fit, reference artists, keywords, moods, whether it's male vocal or female vocal. So it's really important that you have robust metadata in the system so that MusicTrend can do its job and match those keywords against what you have. And then you can say, well, how do I want to be notified? I can either be just told by in-app notification, so that's this area up here, or maybe you want to be emailed directly so that it kind of drags you into the system to check. And then lastly, if there are specific categories that you want MusicTrend to search, and only those categories, then you can say that here. So maybe you only want to be notified of, you know, world, drama, and blues matches. I like to leave this, though, wide open, and you can choose what you want to respond to or not. So I'll just say all categories so I get the widest range of matches. So we'll save that. And now you'll notice if I go back into tracks, in my music catalog, I've now got this little button here at the top, or this little toggle switch, where I can say, show me MusicTrend Matches. So as soon as I switch that to on, it's going to do a search on all those sites that I chose in the settings area. And let's see what we come up with. So it looks like it came back with some matches. So wherever you see this little icon, I know there's been a hit. So here's one opportunity that it found. Blood and Bones, it found an opportunity. It's Never Enough, it actually found 2 opportunities. So if I click on that, it's going to show me what it thinks are good matches. So it found a listing on Taxi, it found a listing on Music Gateway, and it's given it a score based on these tags. So because it's light, male vocal, ballad, the reference artist is Dan and Shay, it's emotional, and it's 1980s, that's a pretty good fit. So it's given it a reasonably high score. And I can see down here that this is a weaker match because it's just a pop rock track with a male vocal. So could be on target, could be way off target. So let's start by going into this one here, and we'll get a little bit more detail about the match. So again, 90% match for It's Never Enough, and it's matched based on these terms. And then I have a description that came right from Taxi, in this case. And here's some of the key words from that listing. So it looks like we're looking for a epic, emotional ballad, male vocal, 80s pop rock. The search is over. And if I click on this sounds like, often I get a link directly to the reference track. So right into YouTube, I see that it's taken me to Survivor, the search is over. So these come from the listings. So sometimes you get that detail, sometimes you don't. So if I agree that this is a good match, then I can go and view it on that listing service, or I can sign up for it. Really, this requires in most cases, it requires you to be a member of that site, but at least now you know that there's a hot match. Okay, so let's see what else we have here as a match. So let's go into Blood and Bones, and let's see what this one looks like. Okay, so this is a male vocal country, another Dan and Shay track, and it found this one on Music Gateway. And the same thing here, I have some references, so if I click on Tequila by Dan and Shay, it's going to hook me up with that reference track on, in this case, YouTube. So that's how MusicTrend matches songs in your catalog. And you can see that I set the score pretty low, so I got a few weak matches. If I find that I'm getting a lot of false hits, then I would just raise that minimum score to something like 80 or 90 so that I know that they're all real quality matches. Okay, so if I go up into the top left here, you see in Dashboards, by turning on the MusicTrend app, I now have a MusicTrend Dashboard. And there's a lot of information that comes in here that I mentioned in the slides, some of those questions that artists and labels are always asking about how, what's trending now, what's coming soon that I should start planning for when I'm planning my next release or sitting down to write my next song. So let's go into the MusicTrend Dashboard. There's a lot here that I should explain for you. So you see we've got two tabs at the top. We've got trends, and then we've got my insights. So trends are really just globally what's going on in the industry. So remembering that MusicTrend is drawing from the requests of editors, music supervisors, A&R people, people in the industry. So it's not taking trends from streaming services. It's not grabbing data that is easily available on other, on other services that give music analytics. This is early stage stuff based on requests. So let's just take a look at the trends tab here. So top left, I can see that we have certain genres in the last 90 days that have changed the most. These are the trending genres. So here I'm seeing things that are trending downward and are trending up. So it's basically taking the last 90 days and it's comparing it to the previous 90 days. So I can see that there's a lot more requests for urban tracks. I can also see that dramedy is kind of in a downtick, and a few others here are not as popular based on those requests. So this might prompt me to want to focus on urban tracks. There's a lot here that just really don't change because they're kind of staple, like reality TV, pop rock, that kind of thing. If I go over to the right, I'm looking at this kind of in a different way. So it's based on genres, but it's just showing me the volume of searches for different genres. So the big one always, or the big two really, are pop and rock. So right now I'm looking at, the larger the number, or the larger the font, the more results there are. So I can see here that there are 418 MusicTrend search results that are looking for rock. On the other end of the spectrum, if I go down to big band, I see, well, there are 14 MusicTrend search results matching this term. And I've got the slider set to 1 year. So this is an amalgamation of all the searches in the last year. If I want, I can pull this down to, let's say, the last 6 months, and it'll refresh. And I might see a few other, keywords emerge. Often, let's see, if I go back to 4 months, or let's say 5 months, you see there starts to be a few Christmas searches. Right now it's the end of April, so I'm probably picking up some requests that happened in November, December. So just by playing with this slider, and you can expand this so that you can get a little bit more detail, you can see really what are the most popular genres, what are the least popular, what is trending right now versus globally in the last year. You can really get some good insights from that. So now if we go down, we're no longer dealing with genres, we're dealing with keywords. So these are the trending keywords. The keywords are moods, style descriptors. It might even be reference artists that get mentioned a lot. And the same kind of thing, last 90 days and the percent change in this last 90-day period. So quirky, for some reason, is really enjoying a spike. And then we also can see that up-tempo tracks are not as in demand. Not really sure why, but some of these trends, like this one, for example, it's up 199%. Well, something might be going on there. And then I have the same kind of concept with keywords where I can see that up-tempo is always popular. Uplifting would be second most, or maybe fun. So it looks like definitely positive music is pretty constantly sought after. So that gives you some intelligence on what industry is looking for now, or at least is typically looking for. What are the popular genres and keywords? What if I want to know, how does all this information apply to me and my catalog? Well, for that I'd go into the My Insights tab. So in the My Insights tab, this is really where all of that data that's been collected from A&R services all over the place are applied directly to my catalog. And so I get to see, well, how can I learn from this? How can this make me produce better, more on-target music. And so the things that you see on this tab help give you that nudge towards understanding that. So just starting in the top left, I have what's called suggested pitches, which are really what we looked at when we were in the catalog, but it's taking the strongest matches and it's giving me a short list here so that I can see them and I can respond if I want to each one of these opportunities. So it's just a short list of what I could have found by searching through my catalog and pulling up the matches there. On the right, this is where it gets interesting. So here we have a chart that's giving me a score on how on trend my catalog is. So it's taking what are the most popular or the most trending categories of music or genres, and it's giving me a score against those. So how is the score calculated? Well, I have a good explanation for it here if you want to really know how the metrics are applied. But basically it's a mix of three different things. It's a mix of the track ratings. So each track gets a 1 to 5 star rating that I can assign, but also as I send out playlists, my clients can score these tracks, just so we know the quality of that track within that stylistic lane. So it takes those ratings and then it also adds something called genre mix. So basically it's looking at my whole catalog and it's seeing, all right, based on what's happening in the marketplace, do I have a mix of styles that reflects that? So if 20% of the new opportunities are for hip-hop and 20% of my catalog is made up of hip-hop, then I probably have a good blend. What I would also see is if I'm really focused on some genres that are not in demand, I'll get low scores in my on my trending chart. So I can see that I have a high score for pop rock. So I've got lots of pop rock. It's rated very highly. And also the keywords are keywords that are used quite a bit. So I know that I'm probably doing okay in pop rock. I can see in hip hop, I'm actually doing really poorly. So, my score is 1 out of 100, probably because I don't have any music, but I may have a few keywords in other genres that are getting picked up. So this is an area where I might want to focus my next production, my next release. I might want to consider a hip-hop release. Now, obviously, everybody's catalog has a certain stylistic specialty, but if you just want to know, hey, where is there opportunity that I could be taking advantage of, you'd look at this chart to see what are the 10 most popular genres and how am I rated in each of them. If we just go to the bottom left, we have some tips here, and this is where the AI engine really shines, where it gives me suggestions on what I should produce next. So on the top right, I had, here's some genres or some categories that I'm weak in or strong in. Well, what about more specific than that? Is there anything that would be more targeted? So for instance, it's giving me 4 suggestions based on what's being asked for. So I can see there's a lot of demand for reality TV instrumentals with these kinds of descriptors: dark, crime, tense. So this is something I might want to consider producing. Now understand that these suggestions will not suggest types of music that I don't ever write. So if there is nothing in my catalog for reality TV, sort of crime instrumentals, then it won't suggest I write more of it. Okay, and so we've got a few other suggestions here that are based, again, on what people are asking for and what I probably can pull off. If you want a little bit deeper explanation about how that's derived, then you just click on this link to go to that article. Virtual Music Supervisor is interesting because, of course, not all opportunities come from the A&R services that MusicTrend searches. What if I just get a request by email from a music supervisor saying, hey, we need something that matches this description, sounds like these reference artists, and and it has, you know, these kinds of mood descriptors. So what the virtual music supervisor lets me do is just take text from anywhere, and maybe in my case that will be an email. So here's an email that I received from a guy named John, and he's looking for this kind of thing. So fun top 40 pop songs with these reference artists. So what I can do is just actually grab this, just grab all of this text. In fact, let's go all the way to the bottom, and we'll copy that, and we'll just drop it right into the virtual music supervisor. So I don't need to reformat it, I don't need to clean it up. It's just a straight copy and paste. So this might be from an email, it might be from a different website. Just grab that text, copy it in here, and then I can hit Find Potential Pitches, and it's going to scan this against my entire catalog, and it's going to suggest, hopefully, a couple of pitches. So let's click that. It's thinking about it, and now it's found a couple of things that might be strong matches. So obviously it's up to me to confirm that before I send these off, but now I've at least got a short list. So here's Ride With Me. Let's see if that's a good match. So I'm going to click this, and I can see that it was matched based on the fact that it has, gosh, it's actually a really good match. It's pop rock, it's fun, it sounds like Taylor Swift, Foster the People, it has a female vocal. So I might consider pitching this. Let's go and check out the other one, It's Never Enough. Okay, this one's a weaker match just because it's pop rock and has a male vocal. So the virtual supervisor is just really doing what I probably could do with some intelligent searching, but I don't have to be specific. I don't have to make sure I get all my keywords in the right place, and I'm doing, you know, a search that might take me 5 minutes to put together. I'm just starting with a blob of text and having it crunch the numbers, so to speak. Okay, then to sum up, I mentioned we'd only keep you 30 minutes, so I think we're pretty close to that. I guess the big burning question is, when is MusicTrend available? How can I get my hands on it? What does it cost? So let me just run down that with you. So we're expecting to release this June 1st. So the recording date today is April 28th. That means a month from now you'll see this appear in your connected apps area in your Magnetracks account. It will be available no matter what subscription level you have. So if you are starter or artist, pro or business, it's available to everybody. And there is no additional cost to anybody that's a current Magnetracks subscriber or an early adopter, meaning if you're on this call and you're hearing this, that makes you an early adopter. So there will be a fee for it going forward. We're still working out what those details are, but for you, there is no cost. Also, to become a Magnetracks subscriber, if you were to share the posts that we've put out there today on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you share that with your network and we will respond to you with a promo code for 25% off. So Magnetracks subscriptions range from $5 to $60 a month. At the low end, 5 becomes $375 and 60 becomes $45 with that promo code. So please do share it and we'll be happy to offer you that discount. And otherwise, if you have any questions or you want maybe a copy of this webinar, please just send an email to us at support@magnetracks.com and either Megan or myself will reply. And we'll be happy to either give you what you're looking for or jump on the phone and talk in a little bit more detail with you. So thanks very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.